The Philippine education system is the public school system. It's provided in the Philippines was born in 1963. The passage of the Education Reform Act in the Spanish courts, education of the Filipino children and adults teen as separated for school boys and girls. From parents trade the children education informally in the Filipino receive a decent basic education as a means of reducing poverty, improving national competitiveness. The World Bank note that the other countries such initiatives have brought a large economic benefits. In K-12 is introduced in 2016 found increasing to concern and social divide in the ones of the issue in the Philippines of educational system because there are no fair learning access in the country. Lack of source in the also learning for the student and acknowledges the big issues. The life of the Filipino in ways to the different eras is a reality. The pre-colonial in the Philippines is already possesses and very advanced civilization, ways before coming the Spanish in the Philippines. In our ancestors, post-split of the working of our society and culture repeat of the works art in literature. Spaniard before living in the Filipino, his secreted before a barangay and rules by the different chieftains. Although they have a living separate, they were similar in many ways. They have a leader before he came to the Philippines. He lived in a small town or called Datu for his country. He had a safe protection. He had a great affection and language these times. Japanese were there such here for a short period and did not live much that the permanently adapted into the Filipino culture because Philippines control United States and definitely did change the ways during that the ways were done in their time of the Philippines. Once the Japanese left, Filipino revert back to the life pretty much in the way they before he came. The American period colonization of the Philippines was 48 years ago. It began among long ago with the cession of the Philippines to the United States or U.S. Americans chose to remain in the Philippines while maintaining relations with their relatives in the U.S. during the Spanish and American War declared independence on July 4, 1994 and 1946. The indigenous people are distinct social and cultural groups that share collective ancestralities of the land of natural resources, where they live accompli or from they have been displaced. The land of the natural resources of which they defend of stability linked to the identities, culture, livelihood as well as the physical and spiritual well-being. They often subscribe to their customarily leader and organization of representation that are distinct or separate from those of the mainstream society or culture. Many indigenous people still maintain a language distinct from the official language or languages of the country or region with their say, while indigenous people own a copy or use the quarter of the word's surface area. They safeguard 80% of the word maintaining the diversity. The whole Btled ancestral knowledge and expertise of how adapt, mitigate, or reduce climate and disaster risks. In the contents of COVID-19 pandemic, there is opportunity to work though the traditional authorities and healers of the indigenous people to provide accurate information on disease prevention, distribute protective gear and hygiene supplies, and support traditional medicine, livelihood, and recover in the ways that opportunity to appropriate the indigenous people, properties, and cultures. Wednesday said the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine poses economic threat of the human resources implication to the country and the Filipino people. Our Secretary Carlo, also acting presidential spokesperson, said Rodrigo Duterte as president give us assurance that the mitigating measurement of contingency plans will be put in the place as the parts of the government proactive response of the Russian and Ukraine war. The conflict in Ukraine has economic, trade, and human resources implications of our country and for our people. As we monitor the current situation, every Filipino has the right to know what the government is doing prepared for an eventuality. Duterte approved the recommendation of the country economic team to the strength the domestic economics, establish food price, provide social protection, and explore diplomatic channel to help resolve the conflict. For me, as student, I can help to our country to continue to development of our education. We need to encourage the youth to provide free textbook and financial assistance for the education to be diligent and perceived to achieve it. His goal in life to reach dream and to make their future beautiful and also for our country so that we are no longer among the country lacking educational system enhancing our student ability to acquire to utilize knowledge to think independently, to exercise appropriate judgment and collaborate with others to make sense in new situations of our life. We need to protect indigenous people because they are ones of our government to need to pay attention to protect. Global citizens means helping to understand the pressing issues of our current and future leaders face hunger, poverty, and conflict around the world, climate change, inequitable assistance into education, medical care, job, human rights protection, and clean water and houses.